everyone to My Films and Project Integra. Sorry about the audio. A lot of people complain when they say I have my mic in and they can't hear me really well, or they only hear me out of one ear. So I'm just gonna do this raw. But today's video is gonna be about kind of how I found out about the Integra. Why did I choose the Integra? Why did I pick this specific Integra? And it's kind of based off of the video Zosh made a while ago about how he, how he bought his Integra. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. So it all kind of dates back to about 2012-ish or so. And this is way before I was a car guy. I wasn't a true car guy up until about 2014. That's when I became a die-hard car guy. Way back in the day, I used to be a hardcore gamer, and one of my favorite games was Forza Horizon at the time. A brand new game, it was something completely different, open world Forza, and it was just great. It was an amazing game, and my favorite car in the game was probably the Honda Integra DC5. At the end of this video, I'll probably show a clip of one of our videos, or the entire video, just so you can see what it was like. And that's kind of how I first got started into the import scene, and that's kind of how I first heard about the Integra, or the RSX DC5. So that was like my favorite car in the game, and I loved it. About a year or two goes by, and now it's late 2013, early 2014, and I'm starting to search for cars on my own. So I'm walking, around my neighborhood to school, and every day I take the specific route, and this route just so happens to have an Acura RSX sitting right on the street. So every day I pass it and I look at it and I'm just like, whoa, this car is actually kind of nice. So, a few months go by and I get my permit and I'm all excited, and I start driving, or I start looking around on the internet for cars that I possibly would want to buy, and something just crossed my mind and said, hey, type in Honda Integra. You like the Honda Integra, right? So I type in the Honda Integra and nothing pops up, unfortunately. So as I was saying, I searched on Craigslist for the Honda Integra and nothing popped up, and I was kind of disappointed about that because I really liked that car. Now this is before I knew anything about Hondas, cars in general. I didn't know what a 4-cylinder was, a 6-cylinder. I didn't know anything. I thought to myself, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I just shouldn't get that car. Maybe it's a rare car. I didn't know at the time. And then I just out of nowhere thought to myself, you know what? Maybe I should search the Acura RSX. That's a cool car too. I didn't know these were the same car, and they look kind of different actually. If you actually look at them, they look kind of different because one has a wing, one doesn't. The DC5 Type R kind of was white, and this one that I was looking at on my street was like a beige color. I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like an off color, and it didn't really look too appealing. It had stock wheels, stock everything. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna type in Acura RSX. Let's see what pops up. I typed that in, and sure enough, RSXs pop up, and this other car pops up called the Acura Integra. And I was like, whoa, that car looks pretty cool. Let me click on that, and it's cheaper. So I was like, definitely I'll click on it. So I click on it and instantly, fall in love with the car. Everything looks amazing about it. Some of them have the Type R wings, really love those ones. I kind of like the ones with the LS wings. Just looks amazing. I was just hooked at that point once I realized that this car was so cheap and looked so good, and looked actually better in my opinion compared to the DC5. So I do more research, and I come to the conclusion that I want an Acura Integra. I just start searching stuff left and right. Then I found out about the different types of engines that they come with. The V18B1, the V18C1, the VTEC engine. What is VTEC? I clicked on videos about what VTEC is, and I instantly became hooked. I'm like, oh my god. So I just kind of thought that was cool, and yeah, that's basically how I heard about the Integra. Fast forward like another couple months, and I buy my first Integra. Now, this thing was an automatic GS. It was gray or silver. I think it was Vogue metallic silver. And I loved the car. Loved it completely, 100%. But it gave me a lot of problems, and those problems led me to want to fix my own car because it was too expensive to take, you know, old cars everywhere to get them fixed. And that's kind of how I became like this DIY-ish type of guy, because I didn't have money back then to have people fix my car, and I still don't have money to have people fix my car. I enjoy fixing my own car. It's just like I don't know how to explain it. I just enjoy working on things and completing them. If it wasn't for that car, you know, things would be a lot different now. You know, that engine went on me, the timing belt snapped on me. I forget what else. It had overheating issues. It was just awful. Why are you going slow? Why? Speed up. The car had a lot of issues, and this ultimately led me to wanting to sell the car, which I did about a year later after owning the car. I couldn't take it anymore, and I wanted a stick from the get-go. My parents didn't want me to have a stick at the time, so they weren't really feeling that. They weren't willing to help me, I want to say, search for a stick. But then again, I think they were just too busy. I can't exactly remember. But basically, that's how everything kind of got started. Bought an automatic car, and that led to me getting this car, which I have right now. So now I'm going to talk about how I got this specific car right here, because it's kind of a boring story, but I figured I'd tell you anyway, because why not? Just put it out there. Basically, I sold, or actually I didn't sell my automatic car yet. I had a bunch of money saved up from working at Domino's, and I basically just went out searching for about 8 or 9 months. I want to say I looked at about 5 or 6 cars, and the first one I looked at was a 94 RS, too much rust. I didn't want it. I looked at another car in DC. The guy was working on it, and it was offering too much money, so I just left, completely just bailed on him. Another guy was working on the car, and it had a check engine light on it, and then he listed it as, you know, it doesn't have a check engine light, and then I show up, it has a check engine light, so I dip. And then I get to this car. Basically, the guy who owned this car previously worked at a septic facility or whatever, family owned, and he basically let me look at the car without him being there. I just checked over everything, looked it over. The car looked great. You know, it was in the color that I wanted. It was about the right year that I wanted, and you know, it didn't have any substantial rust on it. It didn't have any serious rust on it, so I was like, all right, cool, let's go for a test drive. So I test drive the car. Everything's good. I love it. And by the way I learned how to drive stick shift was by test driving a bunch of other people's cars while they sat in the passenger seat laughing. That's kind of how I learned how to drive stick. I would just tell them, hey, you know, I'm just learning how to drive stick, so, you know, whatever happens, happens. But, you know, thankfully I didn't break anybody's car, but I was bucking a lot in people's cars and stalling a lot. But eventually I got to this car, and by the time I was looking at this car, I kind of had driving stick down, and it was kind of smooth sailing ever since. And once I bought this car, I bought it the second day I went to go look at it. So yeah, that's basically the story about how I got this car. You know, I just searched a lot and really wanted to find a white Integra, and I did. So let me know down in the comments below how you guys found your Integra, and how much, if you wanted to tell me, how much you paid for it. I paid about $1,600 for this car, and me personally, I feel like that was a good deal. You know, it sounded about right. You know, I wasn't trying to lowball the guy. I couldn't find any issues with it, even though it needed a timing, or it didn't really need a timing belt, but I just felt like I should get a timing belt. So let me know what you guys paid for your car, or the story about how you got your car, and I will see you guys in the next one.